Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello, this is Philip. You're listening to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm also with my other buddy,
Arron Kramer.
Yeah, buddy. Gotta love it.
That intro.
You did? I just felt like I had to switch it up a little bit. You know,
I liked it.
Thank you. We got a duo cast today, and a fun one because we just had a podcast the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago, with James and Scott. James Green, Scott Lowe. They were individuals that sold their business. I have high respect for these two. They sold their business for not a small sum of money. And this all came out, or my thought process for this podcast came out in that podcast. And that's why I'm giving you so much backstory. But in the podcast, what they had this big check drop into their checking account. Within 4 weeks, each one of them had a panic attack, like a pretty significant panic attack. And in that podcast, you can go back and listen to it, but they kind of said like there was an identity issue that was happening, that I didn't have this baby that I've been pouring into for 8 years for them.
10.
But also for 10. Yeah. 10 for Scott, 8 for James. But basically, let's just say 8. The reason why I said 8 is because they were really like pushing hard where they quit their job for 8 years.
No,
but
you're good. You're right.
10 is about right. And then the other side of it was they didn't realize how hard they were pushing their body and mental capacity while they were doing it because they were just like kind of used to it. And they thought that maybe afterwards it was when, you know, your body kind of caught up to you, like your choices started making and do all this stuff. So today I want to talk about when things happen, transitions in your life. And I see this in retirement, folks. The people who retire, who've been working their whole life, and now they stop completely abruptly, and they have money, but they kind of have this identity issue, this like burnout of like all those years of all the grind and all the hard work and all the stress has kind of cultivated to this, like, I might not be doing well. Then you add on top of that, the identity of like, you're not going to work anymore. It's real. And I think to try to tip my hand a little bit, I'm going to give you the solution a little bit, and maybe it isn't, but one solution is like trying to figure out what the next phase is before you're done with the other phase, so you can seamlessly transition into that. Anyway, I know, Arron, you have a lot of thoughts on this, and I can't wait to unpack them. But that's what the podcast is about: retirement burnout or transition burnout, where you realize how hard you've been pushing, and at some point your body's just like, no more, I can't do it. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, the transition for the burnout part, like that one is very foggy for me, but like I can relate a lot to the identity issue over it. Because I mean, you're working real hard for something for a long time, and then to walk away, that's a hard thing.
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, it is like, you can't help but like have it be a part of your identity.
I want you to talk about, because you had a perfect analogy of this, and it's a different transition, but it's a similar college athletes.
Yeah.
So or high school athletes even.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm that guy since I played in college. I think it's funny when people in high school.
I agree. But I didn't want to dog
everybody gets to play.
Yeah.
It's not special.
Yeah.
It is special. I'm not discrediting people that play, but I do know through my friends and everything from college athletes go through this. And I was not a great college athlete. Like, I made varsity. That was the highlight of my career.
Of wrestling, right?
Of wrestling, you know, like, now I was on a real good team, but so making varsity was no small thing, but like, I wasn't this all-star. It wasn't an All-American or nothing like that. And it still hit me.
Sure.
You know? So I came out of school, because you think about it, for your first, how many ever years, like, so you got 12 there in grade school, and then you got 4 more. So you got 16 years, 12 to 16 years where you're like, if someone asks you like, hey, Arron, or hey, Philip, describe yourself. Man, the first thing come out of my mouth was, I'm a wrestler.
Yeah.
So, and then you get out of school, and then you're doing all these interviews and people are like, describe yourself. Dang it, I don't know what I am.
Right.
So, but like you see it all the time where you have to go do this whole new find yourself kind of thing.
I also see, this is funny that you're saying this, because as you're talking, I think about, I had a conversation at a wedding, and I talked to an individual that was in the military, his whole career, 30 some years, or like 25. And like, there's money is no object to him. Like, oh, that's coming in. And he's like, I don't even know who I am. Like, they told me what to wear. They told me where to be at what time. And he's like, I got none of that. And he's like, I have no idea who I am. And like, I was like, how scary.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because that is another area that I see people when they leave the military, they get depressed.
Yeah.
Because that's their identity. They're a soldier. That's who they are.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And now that they don't do that anymore. They don't put that uniform on. They're not a soldier anymore.
So sad. It's so sad. And I'm sure that we are not going to have the answer here at this Uncommon Wealth podcast, but it's fascinating to see. And I think for me, like seeing James and Scott, because we'll kind of circle back to them, thinking like, well, what am I doing today to make sure that I'm not going to have a burnout tomorrow? And who knows, right? Because mental, like that kind of stuff, like it can happen to anybody. So there's no way I can be like, well, I'm going to fix it. There's no way. But it was at least an interesting thought to me of thinking, man, I'm grateful. I did have this thought in the show. I'm grateful I don't have millions of dollars hit my bank account, because I wonder if I would start analyzing my body and like, am I doing okay? Like, I don't know if I'm doing okay. I might not be doing okay. Like, and you know how like self-fulfills prophecy. And now that I don't have to worry about money, like I don't really need to do the work. Like, it's just weird. And then you have this identity thing of like, oh yeah, but I sold my business, so I can't do that. And I can't really do like what, and then you're in a bad.
Yeah. It's super complicated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's interesting to think about what they had to go through for that. Cause I mean, I know like when I talk to my other fellow friends and collegiate athletes, like you go, hey, you're kind of lost, right?
Yeah.
But also in the same sense for the burnout portion of it, like if you don't get the chance to like leave and help the identity thing before leaving, my idea of always is, and like when I talk to other people that went through this, is you need to tie your identity to something that can't be taken from you.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
Aaron with a deep knowledge today.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
50 points for you.
No, I've just seen a lot of therapists.
Okay. So what would that be?
So like for me, it was just like, like I'm a man of God, right? Like I'm a husband. I'm a father. You can't take these things from me. Right. Like there's nothing that can happen where you're going to take this from me. So
kind of like, I think that like I'm a man of God like that. Yes. But like marriage, like you never know, like that stuff could be, well, I'm not married. Well,
like, I mean, like hopefully, I guess you get a divorce. That's true.
Or like she gets in a car accident or.
But see, I think you're still a husband at that point. Like you're a widowed, but like you're still a husband. Like you're still there. Right.
Okay. So then divorced, like that could happen. Right.
Yeah. That one, that totally like blew up my portion of that one. So might need a new identity portion of that, but hopefully not, like that can't just be taken away. There's not a time on that, right? Like,
yeah. And I do think there's multiple things that you can put your stamp of approval. Like I'm a father, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm a husband, right? And so maybe there's multiple things that you actually are pouring into. Yes. Therefore, having all of them get you yanked away is probably not going to happen. Right. But I was thinking like even sports, you got to be careful because like you get hurt and you can't do it. And then now your identity is filled up in your sport. You
can't put sports in there.
Yeah. Right. And so I think even hedging your bet in this, like here's a stupid example. You're just going to kick me, but here we go. So I love to play disc golf. Just love it. I'm such a loser. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but I like it. It's like my therapy. I get why people want to go out and golf because like they're good at it. I'm decent at the old disc golf. But there was a time where I was like, oh man, I can't go disc golfing because it's windy. It's like windy. And I was like, okay, what other sport or what other thing could I do? What other hobby could I do and I picked up flying a kite.
Yes.
Like it's a power kite. So it's not just like your tiny little kite, like it'll pull you around. And I was like, this is brilliant because it's windy. Okay, then let's go fly a kite. Okay, it's windy. It's not windy. Can't do that. Well, then let's go play disc golf. So it was almost like I was hedging my bets in the hobbies that I was kind of liking. So I wonder if there's some wisdom in that when you're talking about your identity, right?
Yeah.
Who are you? Well, I'm man of God, like a husband, I'm a father. I also get to hang out with a lot of amazing people and serve them by helping them with finances.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a way that you could hedge all that.
Yeah.
But all of it doesn't usually get yanked away.
But it's like, I guess like, for us, if I'm just thinking here on the podcast live here, like diversifying.
Yes.
Your
hobbies and interests.
Right?
Yes.
I have a similar moment. Like I can tell you this year. So whenever this airs, I can tell you it was like a few months ago. I felt you probably remember this because I told you about it because it like hit me to my core.
Yeah.
My wife asked me, Arron, if you had to go to a friend and do something all day, what would you do? But here's the catch.
You can't do. Yeah.
That you can't do. You can't work out.
Yep.
Can't go see a movie.
Can't work.
You can't work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and that means they can't work. Like I can't read a book, not that you're going to read a book with a friend, but maybe you're doing a book study or something that has to do with work. I only read if it has to do with work. And I was like, poop. I don't know. I had nothing. Like I had absolutely nothing. And so you only get a day, so you're not going to go on a trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have nothing.
Right. So here's my thing. Like, and this is a question I used to talk to people when I used to first meet them, especially for my job. Hey, if you had nothing to do tomorrow, what would you do? Just hear what they have to say. Right. So I guess that's my exercise for our listeners today. If you had nothing to do tomorrow and money were no object, what would you do? What would you do? What would be, and all day, right? Like, what would you do? And just write those things down. And then at the end of it, like, what's the core? Well, I travel. Oh, okay. Travel might be something that you're interested in,
Yeah.
And whatever it is, and pretend like that there's no amount of time for tomorrow, right? Like you could play all day or you could travel all day or whatever, and just write down as many things as you're like, oh, I'd want to do that. I want to do this. One, how excited are you for that day to come? And then two, what are those things that you can continue to do and start fostering those for when this transition happens? You're excited about the other things that you get to go pour yourself into. Yeah. Because there's a statistic out there, like, I don't know how many years after you retire, you die. Yep. And I think that's probably for everybody, but for the people who don't have anything and their identity was in work, yeah, like you're sitting on the couch, you're doing absolutely nothing that you love to do. Yeah. But the people that seem like they like love their life in retirement are the people who are active, and they're like, oh, I get to do this. I'm going to go play pickleball. I've got dominoes. I've got this. Like, holy cow, that escalated quickly.
I want our listeners to know when you see those people that do that, though, guess what? All those people that got busier did those things prior to retirement as well.
Right. And they've worked on that.
Yeah, because like the old saying, like an old dog don't learn new tricks.
Right.
Like you ain't retiring at 65 and then you're going to pick up woodworking. You're not going to pick up pickleball. You're not going to pick up exercise. You've got your habits and your things. You're not going to learn a new trick, Right. So good. Take it now and then like run with it. And then maybe it's just a little bit, but
right.
It would be really hard, even if it's like one of those things. If you're in a career, like a doctor, attorney, like start thinking about how you're going to mentor somebody younger than you in that career.
That's good. Here's another thing too. I think that the people that I find that have the most joy, happiness, are the people that have served or pouring out themselves, their talents, their gifts, their wisdom to other people. It's not the people who kind of isolate themselves, but it's the people who are like pushing forward of like, hey, I want to serve this next person, or I want to mentor this person. Those people have purpose in my perspective, and they are thriving. Not only are they thriving, but like I would say that majority of those people are like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I'm mentoring him, but I find far more wisdom in that time. Like I feel like I get more blessed than that person, right? What a cool thing.
That's an awesome thing. And the people that want to challenge us on this, because I agree with you 100%, is like, I would love you to challenge me on this, because we are social animals. We are pack animals. Like, we want to be around people. So I don't even care how introverted you think you are. The people are like, I hate being around other people. Like, I call a bunch of BS. You just want it to be a smaller group of people, you know? So like,
or you want those to be your people, right? Smaller group of people. You're right. Maybe one other person, but yeah.
But yeah, it's like, just like, you know, if you spent your entire life building a set of skills, man, I just had a flashback of like Taken. I have a set of skills.
Yeah.
But like, no, you build up a set of skills. Like, what better thing to like pass them on?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Here's another analogy of this, just to kind of prove the point. Like, all right, you just hit a hole in one and you're by yourself.
Yeah.
I would be super pissed. I'd be mad. I'd be like, no. Or I hit a hole in one in Frisbee golf and no one's around. I'm telling you right now, like, there's just not as much joy as you could have when somebody is witnessing it with you.
Yeah. Well, okay. To bring in another analogy, or like, if we're trying to convince our listeners to take this on, like, if you're an athlete of any sort or just in general, Philip, like, how many times have you heard or have you said, oh, if I only knew what I knew now back when I was younger?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Every day.
Like, I think about that as like, just being athletics was a big deal to me, you know, my entire life. I'm still a meathead. And I sit there and think, if I knew what I knew now back then, oh my gosh.
Right.
Well, okay, you can't go, we don't have a time machine. Nope. You can't go back. And would you actually want to go back? No. Like, what? Can you go give that knowledge to somebody else that's going through that younger time to launch them forward? Like, that would be amazing to see someone succeed and like totally surpass whatever you could ever dream of doing as an athlete or a professional.
That's why parenting is so cool, right? Because you get to like live vicariously through your kids. I remember the first time we went to like a playground and I was like, this is awesome. Because you get to like witness it through your child.
Yeah.
And there's some excitement and joy that happens when you get to see other people witness like their happiness and they're having fun. Like, it's great. So I think my big challenge at the end of this is to, one, how can I love my life right now? Like, not, hey, when I get here, I'm going to do this. No. Like, right now, what is it going to look like to have true joy? For me, it's serving and it's just being around more people. That might not be yours. That's okay. The other thing I think is, what can I do now to make sure that at the end of this rainbow or this transition, I don't get burnout? I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm not working, 12-hour days, because I do think that will, it just takes its toll on you and you don't know how that's going to manifest. Yeah. So how are you going to stay healthy while you are continually working hard? That's my thing.
I mean, and to add to yours, like, even like, I'm someone, like, I know on our team, everyone knows, like, I like working. Right. I will work 12 hours a day and I will enjoy it. Right. But for the health of it, then you get asked questions like, what would you do if you don't get to work? It's like, yes,
that's good. That's good, man.
So like, for me, like, I am happy and I am joyful to work 12 hours a day, but it's one of those things where I'm setting myself up for a huge depression if I ever lose this career.
All right, dude.
So I have to diversify. So that's like, right. I love that for you, like, your challenges to that. And also, I guess my challenge is like, when we say joy and like truly enjoy what you're doing, or like life, like, I don't want to confuse you too much, but it doesn't mean like you're going through life with a smiley face the entire time.
Oh, for sure. Right.
Like, life is hard.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it's like, diversify the challenges, and so you can step away and come back at it with a fresher mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that there's a lot of people who will see somebody who's joyful and then are a little bit skeptical of like, that's artificial joy. Yeah. And for me, I don't know if this is 100% true, but like, I'm almost just as vocal when I'm having a bad day. Here's why. Because when I am having a good day, you'll know I'm having a good day.
Yeah.
If I'm having a bad day, hey, I'm just struggling today,
Yeah.
So I had a gentleman today that I just met with. He's awesome. His name's Jim, one of our clients. And he was like, I'm just tired. I'm tired. And his mother-in-law's passing away. She's at hospice. And like, I'm going to text him later tonight and just be like, how much I value our friendship, that you could be honest enough to tell me that he's tired and he's kind of worn out, because we're not always on cloud nine. That's not realistic. So great point. Great point.
But like, to edify you in that too, though, like, Philip, you do this really well. I know I look up to you for this. Is like, you put on a good game face, but it's not just like a game face. Like, you have learned to enjoy the grind. Where like, if, and everybody tests this. If you walk up to Philip, he will tell you, he's like, it's another day, which means like, I'm grinding.
Yeah.
But you say it with a smile, and nobody's going to feel like your grind. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, avoid Philip because, things are hard right now. He's about to, you don't snap on it, but you like truly, like, I feel like you're getting really close, if not mastered that, like, the love of the grind.
Yeah. Dude, we have to, right? Like, we got to paddle. Okay.
But it's great because, like, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I love the grind, but sometimes the grind can get me. And then it's like, everybody knows Aaron's on the grind because I'm going to take the grind out on you. Like, but you don't do that. You've done a great job.
And honestly, like, for this point in this season of my life, I can't afford to not enjoy the grind.
Yeah.
And I'm selfish enough, like, even in life, and I don't know if I've ever told anybody or the podcast this, but I remember when my church, there was a lot of people moving. And I remember, like, no one really wants to help people move. And I was like, how can we make this fun? Like, moving is not fun. And I made a goal of like, how many people can we get at this person's house? That was kind of just like my fun. We had 38 people the first time, 38 people to help this individual move. We moved them in 48 minutes, 48 minutes. I think I had to go back to the truck 6 times or something. Like, that's not really helping somebody move. It's like, that's fun. And after that, I was like, what if we try to do this in 30 minutes? And everybody was like, all right, who's moving next? Like, it was a challenge. Everybody was like, we were like ants. Like, okay, who's moving next? Anyway, so every time we heard somebody coming into church and moving, we were like, we're there. And again, it was going to last, 30 to 40 minutes, and it was going to be done. And these people were going to be like, what just happened? Okay, my point in saying all that is not to edify me, but I love to make things fun. And if we can't make things fun, I get really depressed really quick. And I feel like right now in our grind, it's still fun. Here's why. We get to go help some amazing people. They still look up to us and value our opinion. And we're not doing this together as a team. Like, everyone has their paddle. Everybody's paddles in the water. And we're just rowing together. Like, there is something really unifying about that. And I know that we're building something bigger than ourselves. And that is worth enjoying the grind.
Yeah. See, and that's why I think it's great. Like, so that's for our listeners, enjoy the grind, but that doesn't mean it does mean you can put a smile on your face and enjoy it, but like, doesn't mean like on the inside, you're like screaming.
Yes. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Oh.
All right. So you've been listening to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. I've been your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I'm Arron Kramer.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, go do something for yourself so you don't get burnt out later.
Be uncommon.
Be uncommon. Go get some more hobbies.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.